Hi, everybody.
Hello,
My name is Christian Debré, and
I'm
here's
Amy Hasbrook.
Amy Hasbrook. So, today's online discussion, April 10, 2015. So, welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome to our online discussion of today, April 10, 2015. Toujours Vivant-Not is a project of the Council of Canadians with Disability to inform, unify, and give voice to the disability right opposition to assisted suicide, euthanasia, and other ending of life practices that discriminate against people with disability.
Like us.
Like us. There are many reasons to oppose the legalization of assisted suicide and euthanasia. Here are just a few. It's unnecessary. Everyone has the option to commit suicide or to refuse medical care and have palliative sedation on demand. And everybody could commit suicide.
Yeah, and I just read an article about a person in California who, back in 2008, forced her mother to take all kinds of treatment for the cancer, and her mother suffered a lot, and now she's decided that she supports assisted suicide. But, you know, her mother didn't have to take all that treatment. Her mother could have asked, you know, to stop the cancer treatment and just have palliative care. And the daughter shouldn't be pushing for assisted suicide. She should be pushing for palliative care.
Yeah, that's true. It's discriminatory. While people without disability receive suicide prevention services, if they express the wish to die, people with disability will be encouraged and assisted to kill themselves.
Right. There's a lot of studies that show that.
Choice is an illusion. The choice to die cannot be free as long as people with disability don't have the choice in where and how to live.
So we don't just say we don't want assisted suicide. We talk about making the supports available so people can live independently and to their best ability in the community.
Yes. Safeguard don't work. Where these practices are legal, safeguard does not prevent people from disability from being wrongly killed. Okay, if safeguard work, everybody should drive under 100 kilometers an hour in Canada or 60 miles by hour in USA. Okay,
But they don't.
nobody, everybody runs over.
Great.
Goal and online discussion. So give disabled people place to talk about these issues from our point of view.
Right. Because there aren't a lot of other places we aren't heard in the media. So here's a good place to talk about it.
Yeah, internet is a free place to talk. Recognize the object of discrimination and our experience with the medical system. Establish our place in the debate aside from conservative and progressive, so-called, okay? Because we are most progressive than the progressive.
Right.
So today's topic is catching up on news brief, some news that we just forget or
well, we didn't forget. We didn't have time for
it. Okay.
There
It doesn't talk about it
right.
on the right time.
Right. There have been a lot of events happening over the past few weeks that we haven't really had time to talk about. So we're going to catch up on some of those. First of all, there's a new group, NDY Aotearoa.
Sorry.
Sorry
We have
to the Maori listening.
to Maori people.
Activists with disabilities in New Zealand have launched Not Dead Yet Aotearoa to combat assisted suicide in that country. An initiative proposed by the Liberal Party was withdrawn before the elections last September, but a new bill is expected sometime this year, and the Not Dead Yet New Zealand group is going to be there to work against it.
We wish them well.
A lot of luck. They have more likes on their Facebook page than we do, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
Assisted suicide bills have been defeated in the United States, and I just heard about another one in Nevada that was defeated. So,
Great.
on February 7th, the Public Health and Human Services Committee of the Colorado House of Representatives rejected a bill that would have allowed assisted suicide. Activists Anita Cameron, Carrie M. Lucas, and Robin Stevens from Not Dead Yet were among the hundreds of people who testified before the committee. They explained that disabled people will be vulnerable to financial pressure and that the terminal illness requirement will not exclude people with disabilities from assisted suicide.
Oh, this is a good decision.
Right, exactly. Then on March 5th in Utah, the Health and Social Services Committee of the state's House of Representatives voted to refer the assisted suicide question for study, thus tabling it for this legislative session. And that's always good when they look more closely at it, because people often, when the bills are introduced, everybody says, oh, great idea. But once people with disabilities start making our points and explaining where the problems can be, they think, oh,
it's a lot more complex than most people think.
Yeah.
So when they study well, okay, they find that it's more complex and they take the right decision.
Right, exactly. On March 31st in Maryland, the two committees considering assisted suicide decided to put off action on that state's bill and to organize a commission to study the question. This followed a hearing on March 10th, where Samantha Crane from the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, or ASAN, and Crosby King of Not Dead Yet testified in opposition to the bill. Also, the assisted suicide bill in Connecticut seems to be in trouble in the Judiciary Committee after hearings earlier this year. Stephen Mendelson and Kathy Ludlum and John Kelly from Second Thoughts were among those who spoke out against the bill. The fate of the bill is still up in the air. And this is the third time they've brought bills in Connecticut. And in all the other states, the big states, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, they keep pushing this.
It's too much pushing. Because when you push every year, and again, there's something wrong with it. If you think about every 10 or 15 years or even 20 years, you say, okay, things are changed and there's a new thing about medicine and things like that. You could put back again and think again what's happening. But right now, every year, that's something wrong with it.
Right, and the reason it's that Compassion and Choices, formerly the Hemlock Society, is really pushing their political agenda. And it's a political agenda. It's not about helping people. It's about their idea, and they're spending a lot of money. They're making a lot of money and spending it to push these bills. And, you know, the idea is, which part of no didn't you understand? We said no last year. We said no the year before. And
the year before.
And we keep having to say no, 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 no. And as it stands, we now have, you know, about 150 times legislatures have said no.
I really don't know which part of no they didn't understand.
Right, and that's compared to 3 legislatures that have said yes. And that's a pretty good record for those of us who oppose assisted suicide. And the reason all those people say no is because there are real problems with this idea.
Yeah.
So finally, there are several other bills, most notably in California, New York, New Jersey, and elsewhere. And I know that there are hearings coming up in California and Rhode Island soon. So stay tuned for updates as we get them in. And we'll try to keep that up to date a little more in a timely fashion. So on to British Columbia, where the Bentley versus Maplewood Care Home court, their appeal was rejected. The British Columbia Court of Appeal has dismissed a request from the family of an 83-year-old woman, Margaret Bentley, that she no longer be given nourishment by liquids by staff members at the nursing home where she lives. Justice Mary Newbury agreed with the lower court judge lower court ruling that Ms. Bentley, who has advanced Alzheimer's disease, is exercising her consent when she opens her mouth to accept food and water, despite her family's position that it was her wish while she was mentally capable that she not be fed if she became so disabled.
This is a very good decision.
Right, exactly. There's a couple of reasons. One is that people do change their minds. Sometimes people say, oh, I'd rather be dead than be, this disabled or whatever.
But when they are on that way,
right,
they change their mind because it is not so bad.
Right. So people have to be allowed to change their mind, even if when they get to that state, they're not mentally competent. They still have to be allowed to change their mind and, to be allowed to live.
Yeah, if they like their life.
Right.
Why kill them?
Right. And since she cannot speak, her way of expressing her desire to continue living is by eating when she's being given something to eat. And that's a perfectly reasonable way of expressing her will. And finally, the court in British Columbia said that feeding somebody with a spoon is personal care. It's not medical care.
There's nothing medical about eating or drinking.
Right, exactly. So those are very important things that came out of that decision.
It's really basic.
Yeah, it's very basic and is very important because people will challenge it. Okay, so the next item is that France rejects continuous palliative sedation. By a vote of 89 to 70, the French parliamentarians recently rejected amendments to a 2005 statute that would have allowed for continuous palliative sedation. Politicians on the left felt the measure didn't go far enough. They wanted actual assisted suicide or euthanasia.
Yeah. As soon there is a law voted as one kind of life, and it permits either euthanasia or assisted suicide of any form, there's always somebody who wanted more permissive,
right,
and is pushing and pushing and pushing at it. This is a slippery slope, and it's already happening in Belgium and in Holland and in some other part of the world.
Right. So they haven't been able to come up with a consensus between the people who want to push harder and the people who don't want it.
Yeah.
So right now it didn't pass that House of Parliament, and the Senate will look at the bill either later this month or in May. So that's coming up again. So the next item is Ghost Boy, a story of Martin Pistorius. And
not the Pistorius,
not Oscar Pistorius who killed his wife. This is Martin Pistorius, also of South Africa. This is an autobiography published in 2011 by a young man named Martin Pistorius, where he recounts the more than 10 years during his adolescence that he spent with locked-in syndrome. His story received increased attention after a U.S. public radio broadcast earlier this year about his book. Following a mysterious illness that rendered him paralyzed and unconscious at the age of 12, Pistorius slowly regained consciousness around the age of 16 years.
4 years.
Right, of unconsciousness.
Unconsciousness complete.
And paralysis. And then he became conscious, but he was still paralyzed.
Yeah.
But since he could only move his eyes, those around him
trapped in his body.
Right. They missed his efforts to communicate. And during that time, at one point his mother was in the room and she said, "I wish you would die. I wish you were dead." And,
it's not what you want to hear at all. It's very traumatizing.
Right. He could hear everything. He could feel everything. And in the book, he talks about his struggle to deal with being conscious and not being able to do anything about his situation. His parents thought he was in a coma or in a vegetative state, but he could hear and feel everything, as I just said. Finally, one of his attendants noticed that he was responding to her voice and words with his eyes, and that's when the rehabilitation began. He was married in 2009, and he now works as a web designer. So in addition to publishing his book, he's
So it's a
working
great
in-
story,
Yeah.
and it's illustrated well that medicine doesn't know exactly what's happening in the brain of people,
Mhm.
and that medicine goes a little bit further every day. So why kill people soon? There's
Right.
no reason.
And the other thing is, you know, he was able to regain a lot of his abilities, but not all of them. So he uses a speech synthesizer, and he uses a wheelchair, but he's still able to function, be a working person. He has a
Have a right and
Yep.
nice life.
Yep, exactly. So the last item is that Danielle Davis, the headline is Danielle Davis refuses to unplug her husband Matt, thereby saving his life. And this week we learned of Matt Davis, who received a traumatic brain injury due to a motorcycle accident in 2010. After only 9 days in a coma, the doctors told his wife that she should disconnect his life support equipment, since there was less than 10% chance that he would ever wake up.
Look what happened.
Right, exactly. But Danielle decided to care for her husband. Hey, stop that. And care for her husband. She brought him home, and after a couple of months, he was able to hold objects in his hand. And eventually he was able to talk, and he finally got around, was able to stand up and use a walker. So it's worth noting that the American Neurological Association recommends that rehab efforts continue for people with head injuries for at least 6 months.
And it at least, okay, it's reasonable, and maybe it should be going higher as number, because medicine go a little bit further every day. Maybe they will be able to save people after 6 months, 9 months, a year.
Right.
We never know.
Right, and in Not Dead Yet, we talk about these cases as rush to judgment. And this is definitely motivated by this idea that, you know, because this costs a lot to maintain people, that they need care, that there's pressure to unplug them from life support. And if we can sort of disconnect life support and those machines from this medical idea and make them more ordinary, like our CPAPs that we use.
Yeah, both of us using CPAP,
Right.
and there's nothing medical about it.
Right. We don't. The technology has changed. It's much more compact now. It's much cheaper now because they've been around for a while, and so other technology, life support technology, should become cheaper, and people should be able to.
But I remember the
use
first time I had to
Right.
go a full night in an hospital to be diagnosed and have the prescription.
Right. Exactly.
But it changed.
Right. And you had your first one in 2002, was
Yeah,
it?
something like that.
I had my first one in 1993, and yeah, I had to go for it all night. My head was wired up with all these things and sensors and
Fingers and eyes and
stuff. Right,
everywhere.
right. And now the machines adjust themselves. They figure out how you're breathing, and they, you know, increase the pressure if you need them. So you, in some ways, you don't really even need a specific measurement on your prescription. You just need a machine. So it doesn't have to be as medical. It doesn't have to be as costly, but that's where the pressure comes from, to unplug people for these rush to judgment cases. So that is it for this week's rundown on news briefs. Now, here's our contact information. How to view our videos. Search for Euthanasia and Disability either on Google Hangouts on Air or on our YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, you can watch our videos back through September of 2013. That's when we started our videos. And I keep a list of topics that we've covered. So I will put that link up again on our Facebook page, so you can check that out, that list of topics. How to participate, if you can send me your email address, and I'll send you a link to join us live. And my email address is info@tv-ndy.ca.
And don't be shy.
Right, exactly.
Go.
For more information on the subjects that we talk about here, you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/toujours vivant, not dead yet. Visit our website at tvndy.ca. You can email us at info@tv-ndy.ca, or you can follow us on Twitter at @TVNDY. So thank you, Christian, for helping out.
Thank you, Amy.
And thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next week, same time, same station.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.